What about, we've had customers ask about red flag pools and how can they kind of on a weekly basis. Now, a lot of folks who've switched from paper, they've said, I flip through all of the paper reports and I look for numbers that stand out. Well, with an export, you can flag numbers that stand out in a much cleaner, more systematic way that ensures that you don't miss anything.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the dashboard that you were working on?
Well, let's start simple, just with the filters, I think, on the service history.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we could again, implement our slicers. So if we just go to the data and add a slicer, let's look at, when we're looking at our measurements, we can find, I just saw it, yeah, pH. So now we can really quickly look at any of our pools. You can see here it shows the different pH measures, but we can filter again by condition. And we can say that the filter or the pH is, let's see, is not between 7.2 and 7.6. So this is going to show us all of the pHs that are outside of that normal acceptable range. And now we have a total list of everyone who was, above or below that with their names and addresses and the technician that was servicing those as well. And, not only that, but we can also go all the way over and we can see what was done to those pools, how much acid was added. You can see there's several where there was no acid added. So maybe there's something there that we need to address as well as far as, with training.
So that's one simple way to filter for readings that are outside of acceptable ranges. And of course, every region is different, every geography is different, every pool is different. So you may have different ranges that you want to manage towards. Before we started, Bryce and I were talking about, well, it would be really cool if we could build a dashboard for this and just automatically surface to people some red flag pools. So, there's a few basic functions in both Excel and in Sheets. They're if functions, and functions, or sum to add up numbers. We have a very short handout with some basic functions, which if you've never spent time in spreadsheets, these are really the workhorses and can take you really far. But on the far left tab where it says dashboard, Bryce and I were talking about, well, what if somebody has, multiple dimensions that they want to manage towards, right? What if it's a combination of monitoring water temperature, fleet-free chlorine, and pH? And if it's over a certain amount or under a certain amount or outside of a range, could we get a count of how many pools are in a spot where perhaps there's a problem, and we can detect that problem. So this calculation here, as you can see, it's kind of putting together some simple information from the service history, and it's basically saying count the number of pools if if temperature is greater than 70, if free chlorine is less than 2, and if pH is, I believe that's greater than 7.6. And it says, oh, there's 2 pools that have this problem. And the way it's set up here, those fields are dynamic. So you can change the numbers inside of temperature, free chlorine, and pH, and it'll change, presumably, if there are pools that fall into that criteria, it could change the count. So 0 pools according to that criteria.
Yeah. So definitely makes it real easy for you to, find out if there are issues. Of course, you'll still have to find them, and that's when those slicers will come in handy. But this can save you time in not having to search through the data if there's not going to be anything that meets those criteria.
That's right.